All righty, first Thursday of December. Can you believe it? We have 2 more weeks of NHA after today, and which means we have today and 4 more class times together, which means 8 more lessons after today. So 10 total, including the two for today, I should say. And so we are cruising right along. As I mentioned before, this is the last class of conversions, and we actually get into what algebra actually is next week. So next week will be an exciting week for us, and we'll get into some algebra concepts, the difference between arithmetic and algebra. And so again, I like that kind of stuff more personally. I enjoy teaching it. I enjoy students learning it more than I enjoy like these conversions like we've been doing the last uh, maybe 6 or 8 lessons. So, but we'll do what we have to do, and it's not always about the math we enjoy. It's about uh, conquering the curriculum. So, that being said, again, this is the last 2 lessons on conversions. Starting Tuesday, we'll get into different concepts, and we'll get some conversion things. We'll pop back in because they do that. They'll, just interject a few along the way. But anywho, so let's go ahead and grab our sheets here and we will go to town here. All righty, so let's see. Let me pull the white screen up. And all right, there we go. I think if we do this way, one of these makes me bigger. So I'm not sure which one it is. There we go. That's what I like. All right. External participants cannot access this whiteboard after the meeting because external cloud sharing is disabled on your account. Well, I'm not going to change that right now. You all can see the white screen right here. It looks different, like they changed it. So I'm not sure what that little note is. External meeting participants. Oh, we'll figure out what that means later. All right, let's go to number one. Number one on our page here. It says how many pints are in 7 quarts? And then they tell you the conversion rate. So you see the little parentheses here after it says 1 quart is equal to 2 pints. Now, these are some things that you might want to learn along the way. And so, as far as measurements go, like a quart of milk, a pint, and things of that nature, a half gallon, a gallon, all those things. But they've told you what they are. So now we have to ask ourselves, are we going from a smaller unit to a larger, or are we going from a larger unit to a smaller unit of measurement? So they said how many pints? So we're going to pints are in 7 quarts. Again, if it's worded as a question with a question mark, they kind of invert things because questions invert things as opposed to a statement. Let me see. All these are all questions, so that makes it easy. But you do have to ask yourself because sometimes they'll say, turn 7 quarts into pints. Well, the quarts are mentioned first in that. But here it says how many pints are in 7 quarts. Either way, you're going from quarts to pints, but you can't just look at it and say the first one that's mentioned is what I'm going to, because if it says convert 7 pints to quarts, we're still going to pints. So we're going from quarts to pints. A quart is a larger unit of measurement than a pint. Larger unit to smaller is multiplication. We're going to a smaller unit of measurement. So all I have to do then when I do this problem is this. It says how many pints are in 7 quarts? 7 quarts, and there's 2 pints per quart times 2 is equal to 14. Let's make sure that makes sense. Okay, so we have quarts and we have pints. We'll pretend these are cups that we have. This is a quart. This is a pint. So 2 pints for 1 quart, larger, smaller. If I poured this in here and poured this in here, and I did it 7 times, I'd probably have 14 of these. And so that does make sense. Again, you always want to ask yourself, make sure my heater down right there. Does this make sense? And it does. All right. So let's go ahead and go to the next one. A little bit more complicated. Count of three. Excuse me. That makes sense. Count of three, thumbs up. If it doesn't, you can go thumbs down or pointer finger in the middle if you're somewhere in between. If that makes sense, give me a thumbs up. 1, 2, 3, go. All right. Perfecto. Trifecta. All right, let's go to number 2. Now here we're going to have a couple more conversions. It says how many fluid ounces are in 5 gallons. So again, a gallon is pretty big. Like a gallon is like your gallon of milk. I don't know if you guys have a gallon of milk. A little red top on it. A little jug. Lindsay. That's a gallon of milk. Well, we had 5 of these. Well, how many ounces would that be? Well, that means we have a lot of ounces. We're going from a larger to a smaller. And so from a larger to a smaller, we're going to multiply. So now we got to find out how many, our conversion rate. So we could, on this one, we're actually going to have to go from, and again, we're doing a few extra steps here because of what they've given us, but they say that 1 gallon is 4 quarts and 1 quart is 2 pints and 1 pint is 16 ounces. Okay, so again, we could say that 4 times 2 times 16 is, I think 128, but I'm going to double check to make sure. Yeah, 128. I don't know why I doubted myself. So we know there's 128 ounces in 1 gallon. 128 ounces in 1 gallon. Okay, so 5 times 128. You could do it many different ways. You could say 5 because there's 5 gallons times 4 times 2 times 16. But remember, order doesn't matter at all when you multiply. So that's the nice thing about multiplying. So you could just know that there are 128 ounces in 1 gallon. So we go 128 times 5. So we have 5 gallons of milk or whatever it is you're doing. 5 gallons of gasoline is 640 ounces, liquid ounces, or fluid ounces, I should say. And a little confusing because an ounce can also be a weight term. That's why they say fluid ounces. I said liquid, but that's basically the same thing. So, all right. So let me show you one more thing, and then I'll have you do a couple of these. Hi, Lindsay. Good to see you today. Glad you jumped on class. We're on number 2 now for the lesson 45. And so, all right. Lindsay came and took our picture in Algebra 2 class. Didn't you, Lindsay? Thumbs up if you did that. Did you crop me out of that picture? Did you draw a mustache on Mr. Soto, Lindsay? I usually have a beard at this time, by the way, but I don't have a beard anymore because it's so gray. I look so old. Every year from October through December, I'd grow a beard. So every year, if you look at my old videos, if you need to catch up on a class from previous ones on the YouTube channel, you're going to see me, if it's this time of year, having a beard. But it's no beard for me. But Lindsay's going to draw a beard on me for the yearbook picture that she took. All right. Let me show you one more thing here. It's 5 gallons, and we know that 5 gallons would be 4 quarts, and 4 quarts would be, 1 quart is 2 pints, and 1 pint is 16 ounces. according to that conversion that they gave you. So you have the 4, the 2, and the 16 is all conversion rates. The 5 is the original 5 gallons of liquid. But remember, I taught you this already. Order doesn't matter. Anytime you have a 5 and a 2, and that's a 10. Anytime you multiply by 10, you're just adding one extra zero. So you could just go 16 times 4 and then add a zero at the end. There's your zero. That's just an easier way to do that. All right. So 16 times 4, you could do this if you wanted to. If you really wanted to do this fast, check it out. Okay. Mr. Soto's helping you right now. To multiply by something by 4, you're doubling it twice, right? 16 doubled is 32. 32 doubled is 64. Okay. So when I see this 16 times 4, I just say I double it twice because that's what times 4 is. 16 to 32, 32 to 64. Anytime you see it in a multiplication series, of every 5 and 2 you see, if you can pair them both together, that's just adding a zero to your total. So I could go 4 times 16. Well, 16 doubled twice, 16, 32, 32 to 64. Add one zero. I took care of the 4, I took care of the 16, and the 2 and the 5, just add that zero, and boom, without even multiplying, I just was able to solve that without even using a calculator. All right. Again, that's just kind of a shortcut. What I want to do as a math teacher is I want to teach you the foundations and the fundamentals of math. But I also want to show you there's smarter ways to do things as well, logistical ways to do things. So the thumbs up if you kind of understand how I was able to do 64 to 640 just without even pulling out. Again, I multiplied it all out, but I am able to do it without even using multiplication at all by just saying the 16 doubled twice and then add a zero. 16 doubled once is 32, doubled the second time is 64. And I can do that in my head, right? 16 and 16 is 32. Like 15 and 15 is 30. So 16 and 16 would be 32. And that's not a far stretch to add those in our head without using pencil and paper. So you double it once, and 32 and 32 is really easy because you double a 3, it becomes a 6. You double a 2, it becomes 4, right? So there's not even any carrying of numbers or adding that way. So 3 and 2, 3 and 2, 3 and 3 is 6, 2 and 2 is 4. I doubled that in my head, and the 5 and the 2 is just an extra zero. So if that kind of makes sense, give me a thumbs up. If it's still kind of confusing, that's okay because you can do it the long way. You can multiply it still. But if you kind of see how I was able to do that, give me a thumbs up. If you're still kind of confused, a thumbs down, and you just have to multiply it. Count of 3, 1, 2, 3, go. All right, perfect. All righty, let's go to the next one. This one's just really easy. It says, how many pints are in 15 quarts? Again, we're going from quarts to pints, a larger to a smaller. That means we're multiplying. 15 times 2. That's right up our alley. 30, right? So the answer to number 3 is 30. Why don't you do number 4? Really easy. Send me over an answer when you get it. Giselle's coming on right now. She was sleeping in today, I venture. Hello, Giselle. Glad you're here. All righty. We're doing number 4 right now, Giselle. That's what they're doing. And you're sending me over an answer. It's really easy. It's if you're going from larger to smaller, you multiply. So you have 10 gallons. How many quarts is that? Well, there's 4 quarts in a gallon. 10 times 4. Answer is 40. All right. Now, number 5 is actually going to be a division problem because we are going from a smaller unit of measurement to a larger unit of measurement. If you go from a smaller unit to a larger, you have to divide by the conversion. They've given you all the conversions that you need. I would admonish you to memorize these, though, because it's important for you to know how many. I mean, if you think about a quart in 1 gallon, by definition, a quart is a fourth, right? A quarter of a dollar is 25 cents. A quarter of an hour is 15 minutes because one fourth of 100 is 25. So one fourth or a quarter is 25 cents. A dollar is 100 cents. So 60 minutes in a clock, one fourth is going to be 15 minutes because 60 divided by 4. And then a quart of a gallon is going to be 128 divided by 4. And so 4 goes into this 3 and 32 ounces in a quart. And a quart is a, half a quart is a pint. That's why a pint is 16 ounces. And a half of a pint, well, they've not taught you that, is the glass. A glass is 6 ounces. So ounces to glasses, glasses to pints, pints to quarts, quarts to half gallons to gallons. And again, there's no reason or rhyme to how we do things in the imperial system here. And that's why the metric system is all so easy because it's all based on 10. And you multiply or divide by 10, you're just moving decimals over. And it's counterparts 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, so on and so forth. So that being said, a little bit more work to memorize, but hey, ain't nothing we can't handle because we be smart. So how many quarts are in 22 pints? So 22 divided by 2 equals 11. So if you had 22 pints and it's 2 pints goes into 1 quart, watch you put this into here, and you fill it up. And if you had this 22 times, you'd have this 11 quarts, right? 22 pints would be 11 quarts. Makes sense. All right. My artistic ability is one to be desired, as you can see from obvious illustrations on the whiteboard. For number 6, let me show you number 6, and then you do a couple. It says, how many gallons are in 20 pints? So here we're going to go. Now, order does matter when you divide. So you can't do the tricks like you did when you multiply. All right. There is a way to turn the divisions into multiplications, but we won't do that just yet. But let me just show you this. Let's just go. There's 2 different ways to do this. We could go 20 divided by 2 is 10. And 10, let me put it right here, divided by 4 is going to be 2.5. So there's 2.5 pint or gallons. If you had 20 pints of liquid, you'd have 2.5 gallons worth. And that makes sense, right? If you had 20 pints and you were going to pour them into 1 gallon jugs, let's just pretend you had 20 there, and then the gallon jugs look like this. Milk, it does the body good. You pour those in there. So 2.5, you need 2.5 of these. That's where you see the division. You are also able to do this. 20 divided by 8. Okay. The reason being 20 divided by 2 divided by 4 is the same as 20 divided by 2 times 4. And 2 times 4, I put a parenthesis here because you do it first because of PEMDAS. So you have 20 divided by 8. Okay. Now you're only going one. Same answer, 2.5. All righty. So that's how you do that. Why don't we do this? Why don't you do 7, 8, and 9? 7, 8, and 9, send me over answers. And I'll do them in a second. I want you to try them, 7, 8, and 9. Ask yourself, am I going from larger to smaller, smaller to larger? What are my conversion rates? They give all those to you. Maybe try to do them without looking at the actual conversion rates that they have for you. See if you're memorizing those. I have to sneeze. I'm going to give you about a minute to do these problems. 7, 8, 9. I want you to do them. And if you get an answer, you can send it over to my chat to me. That way I can see, check your work. If you send it directly to me, then the other students won't see your work there. Just text my wife. Don't mind me while you're working. Yawn, and I apologize for that too. All right. I'm going to show you something on number 8 that'll help you as well. Okay, so number 7 here. Let's see. All right. 3.5 times 2 is 7. Here you have 4 times 4 times 2 times 16. Now, again, order doesn't matter. We don't have the 5 and the 2 luxury that we had in the last series we had that looked like this. But we have 16 because 4 times 4 is 16. And when you start knowing all the perfect squares, and I'm going to tell you this now, and I'm going to tell you if I teach you again next year in Algebra 1 and then in Algebra 2, it's really going to make a lot of sense why I taught you this. It's very important that you learn all the perfect squares. A square is a number multiplied by itself. For example, 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 4 is 16. 5 times 5 is 25. 6 times 6 is 36. 7 times 7 is 49. 8 times 8 is 64. 9 times 9 is 81. 10 times 10 is 100. 11 times 11 is 121. 12 times 12 is 144. 13 times 13 is 169. 14 times 14 is 196. 15 times 15 is 225. 16 times 16 is 256. So I got to 16 by 16. I have 256. Okay. So I took care of this and this and this all in my head. I mean, I wrote it here, but I could have done that. And then if I just doubled 256, well, 250 and 250 is 500, and 6 and 6 is 12. 512 is your answer here. Okay? And again, you can do that in your head. If you can't, that's fine. These are things I'm again, a little bit farther advanced than you guys, but I'm showing you that there are ways you can do these things, and they do help you a lot. 4 times 4 times 2 times 16 is 512. Okay. So you can do that on a calculator. You could go 4 times 4 is 16, times 2 is going to be 2 times 6 is 12, 32, then 32 times 16, 6 times 2 is 12, 18, 19, with a 0 here, 2, 3, then you have the 2, 9, 10, 11, carry the 1, 3, 4, 5. Hey, 512. I was able to do that. Get the 4 times 4 is the 16, times 2 is 32, times 16. Again, or you could do it in a different order if you wanted to. Lots of different things you can do. But I'm able to do that, and I want you to be able to do that in your head as far as math goes. For number 9, 50 divided by 2 is going to be 25. All right, let me clear this off. It says number 10, Mark loves drinking milk so much he bought 3 gallons from his local market. If he's able to drink half of the milk he bought one day, how many pints of milk does he have left? So we have to first go. We just need to convert it to pints, then cut it in half, I guess. So he's got 3 gallons times, there's 4 quarts and 2 pints, so 4 times 2. 3 times 4 times 2 is going to be 12, 24. But he's got half of 24 is going to be 12. Okay. So 12 pints left. All right. So what I did here is for number 10, we need to take, or you could even half it right here. You could say 1.5 times 4 times 2 if you want to, and 8 times 1.5. 12.012. All right. Let's go on to the next page. Let me clear this off. Okay, we're going to go back to our little chart that I showed you when we did meters. But instead of meters, we're going to put a liter. Okay, so we put meters here. Then we went, remember we went deca, hecto, kilo, deci, centa, and milla. Okay, so we told you already that we had in the original thing that we did that looked like this, we had the word meters right here. And all we had to do is say decimeter, centimeter, milliliter, millimeter, decameter, hectometer, kilometer, kilometer. Okay, that measures length, right? We can also use this to measure like volume, or we'll call it liquid because that's kind of what we're talking about. But this is basically volume. And we're going to put a liter right here instead because that's the basic measurement. Instead of measuring in meters, we're now, that's length, we're in liters. Like when you go to the store and your mom says, go get a 2 liter of Dr. Pepper for the party, that's a jug with a cap on the top, a 2 liter of soda. That's the metric version. Okay, so we oftentimes say like a half gallon of milk. That's the imperial of the American standard, whatever unit. But we also have some things we buy regularly that are still that are under the metric system, including like a 2 liter. Sometimes you'll see a 3 liter or a 1 liter, as opposed to 16 ounces or as opposed to a quart. You'll see all those, but you do use liters some in our everyday life, and the rest of the world, besides 2 or 3 countries, us being one of them, just uses the metric system exclusively and only. Okay. And it's a lot easier because it's based upon tens. This is a kiloliter, a hectoliter, a decaliter, a deciliter, And again, if we're going from a larger to a smaller unit, we multiply. If we're going from a smaller to a larger, we divide. Okay. Every time you go one spot, I taught you this already, so I'm going quickly. But I taught you this when we learned about the meters, right? So here it says convert 16 liters to deciliters. So a liter to a deciliter, liter to a deciliter, I'm going down one spot. All I'm doing is multiplying by 10. Anytime you multiply by anything of base 10, 10, 100, 1,000, you move the decimal point, the number of zeros in the term. 10 has one zero. So 16 times 10 is just basically moving the decimal one place over. The answer is 160. No math, no figuring, just moving decimals. Here it says convert 1.2 kiloliters into decaliters. Kiloliters to decaliters. We're going to go twice, once, twice. So we have 1.2. We're going from a larger to a smaller. Moving it to the right. 1, 2. 120 is the answer. Okay. Let me do one more for you, then I'm have you do a couple of these. I'm about to sneeze. Don't mind me. It says convert 6.4 hectoliters into centiliters. So I have 6.4 hectoliters to centiliters. Wow, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to add a few zeros here. Not sure how many I need, but I'll just put those there. So I'm 6.4 hectoliters. Larger to smaller, multiply. Multiply, you move it to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. You went 4 total spots, and I'll just rewrite this like this. 64,000. There's my answer. I put enough zeros here to make sure I had enough room. I can omit that one right there and then rewrite it to make sure it looks clean and put my comma in. All right. If you go from like let me do one more for you. I'll do number 4 for you. It says zero point 0.5 milliliters to liters. Milliliters to liters. 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry. Backwards. You're going from liters to milliliter. Let me read that correctly. We're going from liters to milliliters. So we are still going from a larger to a smaller. 3 times. 0.5. 1, 2, 3. 500. All right. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do 5, 6, and 7 and 8? And then don't do 9 yet. I'll do 9 with you. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Send me over an answer. Mr. Soto, why in the world would I do the work when you're about to do it for me? I don't know. Because it's your education. Who learned you to spoke, right? Who learned you to math? All right. Looks good. Looks good. Okay, we're going to go decaliters to centiliters, decaliters to centiliters. 1, 2, 3, 13, 13,000. Good. 8 liters to deciliters. 8 moves is one time. That's 80. Good. 7.3 kiloliters to hectoliters. That's just one, so it's just going to be 73. And then number 8, that was 5, 6, 7. 8 looks like this. 35 liters of water. How many milliliters is this? So it's 1, 2, 3. Add your zeros. 35,000. All right. On number 9. Now we learned this when you went to square units. You have to do it that number of times. Let me show you how this number 9 is going to work. Okay, it says a backyard tool shed has a volume of 30 cubic meters. Okay. It says how many centimeters is this? So what we have to do is this. Because it's cubed, I'm going to put the 30. Okay. This is actually meters, but we'll go meters to centimeters, but we'll use the same scale, so I have to redraw it. It's 2 spots, right? But you have to go 3 times. Larger to smaller, multiply. Let me just add a bunch of zeros here, and we'll figure out how many. So it's an understood decimal right here, and it says the backyard tool shed is 30 cubic meters. How many cubic centimeters is this? Because it's cubic centimeters, you have to do it once, twice, 3 times. So 6 total moves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's right here. We'll cross those ones out. 1, 2, 3, comma. 1, 2, 3, comma. And we'll rewrite it to make it look good. 30 million cubic centimeters of space in the tool shed. All right. So that's how that one would work. All righty. Any questions on those things? As I said earlier, I know if you jumped on late, these are the last 2 lessons in the series of conversion. We might have 1 or 2 interspersed through, is that a word? Interjected into the curriculum. But starting Tuesday, we're going to be into what the difference between arithmetic and algebra and how to start learning the rules of algebra. Now, we've done a little bit of it already, but you're going to start down the road of algebra. So we're in pre-algebra. It's a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to Tuesday and Thursday of next week, getting away from, again, as I started this with, these conversion are not my favoriteest thing in all the world, but nonetheless, we're following the curriculum as we go. So we're going to let you go about 3 minutes early today, and that'll give you a chance to get caught up on your curriculum here. You should have done through lesson 42 as of yesterday. And so if you're not caught up, then a 44 as of yesterday, and then 46 as of Monday. So make sure you get caught up with your teaching textbooks curriculum if you're not already done so. And we will see you on Tuesday, if not sooner. All righty.